What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of 5 Questions with the Beast. It's not really 5 Questions with the Beast. I sit down with LEX Fitness here today for an hour and 15 minutes, and I just can't believe that this actually happened. He has over 1 million followers on YouTube, and he's one of the original members of GymShark. I just had such a great time interviewing Lex and actually talking with him. He's a great person on camera and an even better person off camera. I hope you all enjoy this. I think you will. But before we get into the interview, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the notification bell. Now let's get 5 questions in LEX Fitness. Boom, baby.
Before I'm like a giant floating head compared to you. Look at this. Look at this.
Before we get into the interview, I just want to say that the last couple weeks really have been crazy. 2 weeks ago, I interviewed Fuad Abiad, and he brought me on his podcast with Ben Chow and James Hollingshead, and that just opened the door for so much to come. I interviewed Seth Ferosi. He's a person I've been watching for 5 years now, and it was just crazy being able to sit down with him, and now I get to sit down with you, another person I've been watching for 5 years. And I've always looked up to you, and I can't believe that this is actually happening. And I just want to say thanks again for doing this.
No, thanks for inviting me, man. It's cool, especially I'm living on my own now, so it's a bit weird. So talking to another human is always good. Because I talk to myself a lot, and I've started creating accents and voices. So I think I'm going a bit weird. Because I don't know, are you guys in lockdown? Because we're still in lockdown here. Like no gyms.
No, we're not in lockdown anymore. But
you're lucky.
Yeah. So, but I see that quarantine's making you go a little bit mad. I see you're getting in fights with fruits now.
Yeah. Honeydew melons. Do not mess with a honeydew melon. That knocked me down. That was serious. Like people thought we were acting like hoaxing it up, but I literally just got smashed in the head with giant melons. And it was all because RDX sent me some headgear, and I couldn't go and spar, so I was like, what can we do with this? I really want to use it. And then a picture of a watermelon came into my brain. So I really genuinely feel like my brain is its own thing, and I'm just here. And so every so often it'll just pop in and go, hey, watermelon, just saying, see ya. And that's it. And that's how my days go.
When our quarantine or lockdown ended back in November, we went to jiu-jitsu, and we went there twice, but it was like we couldn't wrestle with anyone, and I could only go with my dad, and he's like 100 pounds heavier than me, so it was tough, and you had to wear masks all the time, so it was really hard breathing. So we haven't gone since November, so it's been a while, but I'm itching to get back there.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I saw people doing that, sparring with masks on. It just, it's silly. It gets daft, isn't it? They're opening up like theme parks and everything else before they're even opening gyms. Logic? Where's the logic, man? It's because they got these fat old age guys running the country. They've never trained, don't care. They don't understand how important it is for your sanity, your self-confidence, your just daily release. And so we've had that taken away now. I can't remember how long it's been, but we were in a huge lockdown all over last summer. Like 2019 basically disappeared. And then we came out of it for a little bit, but then we went straight back in. So a lot of people are like, oh, you've only been in lockdown since January. It's like, no, we only got like a 3-week break, and then they shoved us straight back in.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to be able to go to the gym. So it's like one of those rare things, I guess.
It's so important, man. I mean, people are just starting to crash left, right, and center because we have no purpose in our days here at the moment. This is the problem. So we're just kind of meandering through each day. They're rolling one into the other. And the gym is such a lifeline for so many people. Yeah. People think gyms and training is about an aesthetic or looking a certain way. But for a lot of people, guys especially, it's a social thing too. Like it's the day when they get out and get to go and see people and speak. And it's a huge thing to lose. I really don't think that the governments, the people who know that will really appreciate it. So
and I've heard that in some places only like professionals can go to some gyms.
I think I've seen that you can get, if you know people who own a gym, you can go in and you're allowed to film technically. So if you're doing something for a business purpose, you're allowed to film, but obviously the gym's still shut. So if you I've been able to go in a couple of gyms, but it's like one session here or there. It's kind of redundant, but it's nice when you're in. But it's not like you can go every day. And I think a lot of those guys that you're seeing going every day have either they have some ownership within the gym or just a very very good relationship, so they've got a key to the front door kind of thing. So yeah, most of us don't have that. And I've got friends that own gyms, but it's too risky for me to go in because it's their business, and I don't want to risk any of their livelihood.
Yeah.
So
Well, Lex, you ready?
I'm good.
All right. Boom, baby. Back with another episode today. We're sitting down with Lex Griffin. Many of you may know him as Lex Fitness here on YouTube. And today we're going to have an awesome interview. You ready to get started?
I'm good. It's late, but we're good.
All right, Lex, I like starting off all my interviews hearing about my guest origin stories. Now, I know that before you were started bodybuilding, you were an MMA fighter. Can you tell me about your origin story and what life was like as a kid and what led to you becoming an MMA fighter?
Ooh, okay. So starting from childhood. Okay. As a kid, I was always into sports. So I was always kind of very. I was a skinny kid with just like abs and nothing else. I just used to run around and ride my bike everywhere. So I was a very active child. If I used to get grumpy, my mum used to like kick me out of the house, like go for a run, go ride your bike for a bit, and I come back really happy. So I was always that way inclined. But I have my bad points as well. So like I can pick up sports and stuff really well, but then I have the attention span of like a cocker spaniel dog. So it's all the balance. And then what do we say? So skipped through school, played a lot of football, played rugby, went to university, I played a lot of basketball as well, which I don't think a lot of people know. I played all the way up to north of England standard. So I was a point guard, obviously, because I'm not 6 foot odd. So I was a little trickster. I was a trickster on the court. And then when I went to university, the basketball team. So when I grew up playing basketball, it was very, very team orientated. If you messed up, you didn't chastise each other. You just get back and defend as a team. Then when I went to uni, that was very much not like that. Like the guys all played for themselves. And I didn't like that. So my roommate at the time, who became one of my best friends, played rugby. And I'd played a bit of rugby, but not a lot. So he made me try out for the university, ended up playing rugby. And that's when I started. I did a little bit of boxing at university just for the fitness and for rugby, like to get fitter and stuff. And it's when I started weightlifting more as well, too, because I just wanted to tackle harder. And it just turned out, started lifting free weights and started to take a good shape. So I had that kind of balance of like the sport and the bodybuilding, just everything all at once. And that was all up to university. You still with me?
Yep.
Making sense so far?
When you were in high school, were you ever interested in doing like wrestling?
Actually, we don't have. You mean like Greco, not WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have it.
No,
we don't have it at all. Like nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. Yeah, the closest we have now is jiu-jitsu. It's like taking off quite a lot here, but no wrestling. Yeah, no wrestling. The only time I learned wrestling was at the MMA, which I got into after university. When I came back, I basically started as a PT. I started training people and things like that. And some of the guys I trained were doormen, like security guys. Do you call them doormen in America? The guys when you go, don't let you in the bar if you're a bit drunk.
Bouncers is what we call them here.
Oh, okay, we call them that too. Yeah. So I was a bounce. Some of the guys were coming who I was training were bouncers, and they started doing Thai fighting. And I got friends with them, and a couple of them just said, you should come down to the class, do some of the just to learn the skill set. And I actually really enjoyed it. Went down to the Thai class. It was a really like team atmosphere then, which again I really liked. And then it so happened one of the lads who I trained was sick and couldn't, or somebody from the team was sick when they were doing the bouncing at night on the door. So they asked me, do you want to come and just fill in for him? Bearing in mind at this time, I had like boy band hair, like spiky. I was clean shaven. I looked like an absolute baby. I had no place beat on a door. Like I hadn't been in fights in my life. I was just, a nice guy who trained at the gym. And so they put me out. They got me onto the door, and I turned out. I ended up working there for like 4 years with the guys, because they're a good team and I really enjoyed it. It was good money, but because of that, I started doing much more of the Thai fighting and concentrate on the fight training, just for safety aspects and to be able to help if things went awry. And at that same time, cage fighting came over to the UK, and it was all around the time of Mike Bisping, and he was actually a local boy to where I used to live.
Oh, nice.
So we started training with a group of guys who trained through him, and there was an MMA class opened up, and one of the guys wanted to go down, dragged me with him, and he kind of carried on from there. I
Now,
just
can you
got
tell me a little bit about your bodybuilding career? Like, when did you start taking that very seriously?
So I took advantage of the weights room when I went to uni, like I said,
Yeah.
because when you're a student here, it's all subsidized. So it costs like £80, which is probably like $120 for the entire year to
Wow.
train in. Yeah, and university facilities are top. You know, they're funded really well. So it was a great gym. So I got really involved with the gym there. So when I came back, I kind of carried that on alongside everything else I was doing. Obviously, I was training people in the gym, but the bodybuilding side, I'd always liked it, always interested me. I'd always watch it through Arnie, and I always loved Sean Ray. Remember Sean Ray?
Yeah.
He was, yeah, I mean, his physique was just phenomenal. He was such a nice proportion. Like, I'm not a big fan of the big monsters. That's
Yeah.
but that look always appealed to me. It was something, and I grew up watching like Stallone and Arnie. So in my head, this is what a guy should look like. So there
Yeah.
was always that kind of lean towards the gym anyway. Um, and then when I came, I did fighting, you know, quite a lot. I had about in total like it was either like so I did some weird tournaments because I did like a couple of Ironman ones, which is where you like win and keep fighting on the same day. They're
Yeah.
rough, super rough. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't walk,
Sounds like fun.
literally couldn't walk the next day. It was horrendous. But I had like four fights in one day.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I won the tournament.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Which was my first amateur tournament I went to, and that's why I carried it on because I, you know, they were kind of like on the first one, just my coaches, they saw me picking up the wrestling side and things quite well, and I have a natural decent ability for like keeping my range and movement and things like that. So they just got started poking me a little bit. You know, there's a tournament coming, have a go, have a go. I was like, no, have a go, and I ended up, yeah, doing it, and then obviously was pretty good at it. So I ended up fighting for about 4 years. And then my final fight, the referee messed it up, and it was
Yeah.
for a,
Heard about that.
it was a title fight, and so my arm was in a bad position for a bit of a while, and I was just waiting it out, like I knew how to defend it, and I was just waiting for a stalemate, and then for him to stand us up. And when he stood us up, he called the fight off because he said my arm was in a dangerous position too long. Bearing in mind, I'd nearly knocked this guy out like about a minute before, so I was just waiting to stand up just to hit him again because I knew he didn't like being hit. And so that just threw everything out because I trained for like 8 weeks for this fight. I was super fit, like crazy fit, the fittest I've ever been. I don't think I've ever been that fit again. I could fight for like 20 minutes straight. I was just all in with the fight thing, and that just kind of blew my mind that they put this idiot referee in with me. And at the same time, I stopped working as a bouncer and moved to the city. And because of that, I just kind of just like, right, I'm done with the fighting for a bit. And I ended up getting some opportunities to do some fitness modeling work. So then I couldn't fight anymore because you couldn't turn up to a shoot with like a black eye or anything like that. Now you probably could. It's probably pretty cool now, but then it wasn't because it was all very clean. It was all like men's health. Like you could barely have tattoos when I was doing that. Like that was frowned upon to have a tattoo being on the front cover of a health magazine. Whereas now you see it all the time. So it was because of not being able to fight anymore. I needed a goal. And so I did the BNBF bodybuilding competition in Manchester where I moved to. And that's how I started getting back into the bodybuilding side of it because I needed that goal. And that was what I did. Yeah. And then I just carried on really from there. Just doing my little journey, did a few more competitions. I haven't done any for a while, but I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a physique one or something again. Just to, I don't know. We'll see.
Now, how come you kind of got away from bodybuilding? Did you think you would be like better at social media doing like being a fitness influencer?
No. My the only reason I was on YouTube is because I was watching Matt Ogus.
Yep.
And he was you know, Ogus cake and everything was going on. So there was, and I was in England and everyone I was watching was American. And then when I decided to do that bodybuilding show, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to video it. I've been watching Matt Ogus do his things. I'm just going to video it and make my own channel. Maybe I'll get like some free protein or something like that. And that's literally the reason I started vlog on YouTube. I never had any idea it would go the way it went at all. It was just me putting information out there for people as and when I learned it. And then if I got something good for me, like sponsors, then great. But otherwise, I was just making it for accountability more than anything, and just because I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, I want to jump back to the whole MMA thing, and this is a question that I'm dying to ask. Can you tell me what it was like seeing Conor McGregor at Archie's Diner?
Oh yeah, that dude, it was a whirlwind. He comes in with so much security, and he's lovely. Like, he shakes everyone's hands and talks. It's his security that are the problem. They will like push people out the way. They like keep people back, and they create more of an issue than he does at all, because they create this kind of like
Yeah.
circular security thing around him. But yeah, no, he was fun, just enjoying the moment. He's bigger than you expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely like bigger and broader than you expect him to be.
Oh.
I thought he'd be way more wiry. Yeah, he's pretty stacked. But yeah, he's he from all my accounts, yeah, he's a really nice guy.
Can you tell me what it was like being trained by his coach for a couple of sessions? Was it miserable, or was it like something that you could do again?
Yeah, no, Owen's fantastic. Yeah, he's really good. There's obviously his specialty striking, but he's great everywhere. A lot of people don't know is Owen used to fight himself and was really, really good, very, very good, like Connor
Yeah.
level good. I think the only reasons he didn't fight was some injuries. I think he got a really bad head injury, and he didn't want to risk it anymore. He just didn't like the idea of putting himself at risk because of that one time. So to train with Owen is brilliant because he's got a mind for fighting as well. So he can break things down for you in the mechanics and give you a step by step on how to change what you're doing wrong and make it simple to pick up and quick, so you can start drilling it straight away. Yeah, he's good. And the way he pushes you as well is not like a military sergeant. It's almost like, when a dad's cheering on a kid that's just not going to make it through the race.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, we believe in you. It's like crying his way to the finish line. That's
Yeah.
what Owen's got, that kind of lift behind him. Yeah, he's not drill sergeant. He's much more like positive encouragement. Yeah, really good guy to train with. Very, very clever guy.
Now,
Funny
like
too,
after
really funny.
like training with him, were you able to like actually meet Connor like face to face and like have a conversation with him, or no?
No, he doesn't go down to those gyms anymore. He has his own facilities built now, so
Oh,
he
yeah.
rarely goes to them. Yeah, unfortunately.
Now, between me and you, Lex, was it expensive to be trained by his coach?
No, we did it for content. They're
Oh, wow.
they're super nice. They're really, really, really welcoming. Like they were just happy to go and just to create fun stuff to put out and help people and drill things and create videos. They're fantastic. Like I still go down there now and do the trainings. We can't go obviously because of COVID. I was
Yeah.
supposed to be down there. I was supposed to go down pretty much like every month or 6 weeks and go and do something with them. But obviously we haven't been able to do that because I started the fight series, the self-defense fight series with Hazard Harvey.
Yep.
Who's one of their guys who's just turning pro now. So obviously that's really good. And then obviously I do the crazy massage videos with Adam, those massage videos, they're in SBG in the training facility. So he's in there permanently. So it's like when I go down, I just spend my entire week there getting beat up or getting like mauled by the massage guy.
Now, you brought up the massage. When you got your like foot work done, and that video got 22 million views, what was that like for you?
There's a lot of people with foot fetishes, dude. There's no, I think, do you know what it is? A lot of people are suffering from bunions and nobody really does anything about them. And you get them for so many reasons. Like the main reason is women get them from wearing heels, but guys get them from like years and years of sports or just bad foot mechanics. But that video we actually made, we made it as a side video in between another video we were filming. He was just working on my soleus, I think, and coming down into like all my hip flexors. And then he went down to the knee. And then when he got down to the knee, he was just like, I'm going to have to go into your feet because it's affecting your knee. And I was like, oh, no, we didn't talk about that. and so like there's a gap when we filmed that of like me for 15 minutes being like, really? Do you really have to do it? And he was like, yeah, I've got to, dude. This needs doing. I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to make this a separate video altogether because this is gonna suck. And so we actually made it in when we've never expected to, and that's the one that's just gone no. So it's always the ones that you never plan that do so well. It's bizarre, but yeah, that it's legit. It hurt though, dude. Like some people like commenting. I know there's so many, there's thousands of comments. It's hard to see, but most of them are really positive and great, and people wanting to know more. But some people just like, well, what a sissy. I'm like, if you just have normal feet, it won't hurt you. But if you've got a problem, imagine if you like ripped your shoulder, and then someone just came and started jabbing their thumb as deep as they could into it, like that's what it's like. Because when you have bad feet or bunion, it's like there's a constant inflammation there, constant problem. So, and they're going into that inflammation to literally break down crystals that are formed around the joints. Like, it's rough.
Yeah, and I feel like another thing that hurts really bad is like the scraping that they use with like the metal tool. And they scrape.
Yeah, not as bad as the feet.
Really?
Nowhere near. Yeah, nowhere near. The scraping thing is like, you'll swear at them a little bit and just like, oh, that's rough, but it looks 10 times worse than it feels. Whereas the feet thing feels even worse than it looks.
Now,
I regret not having a gum shield for that session.
I learned that James Hollingshead has a pretty big foot fetish, so I know he probably watched that video.
See, as long as I'm making people happy, I'm all right. Whatever floats your boat.
Now, was the foot one like the worst pain of all of them?
Yes. Yeah. Easy.
Yeah.
There's no comparable. Yeah.
Now, like the whole worst pain like series that you did, I was wanting to ask, like, what was the whole like bed of nails thing like? Was that like super painful?
Yeah, for me, right, that sucked. It was like a burning sensation all the way up. But then I got loads of people messaging me afterwards, literally sending me pictures of their kids just lying on these nail beds, chilling, playing like a Game Boy. And I was like, yeah, but your kid weighs like, I don't know, 12
Like 30
kilos.
pounds.
I don't know what the heck the kid weighs. But yeah, I'm lying on it at like 80 kilos, and I don't hold a lot of body fat on my back. So it's just jabbing straight into tight muscle. So, and obviously, I've got your back is, you've got sensation all the way from top to bottom, don't you? You can, if somebody even just strokes your back with a feather, you feel it. So imagine you've got much more of the muscle mass and the blood, and there's no fat really covering it. It's for me, it sucks. But I think if you're just kind of quite light and agile and lie on them, they're just really good for you. And they're still really good for you, even if they suck. You just have to kind of get used to them. But it was the longer I lay on it, the worse I got. So it's obviously something to do with the weight sinking into it.
Now, through that whole worst pain series, I thought it was pretty funny about the support that you got from your friends, telling you that you're
the camera guy.
Yeah,
Paul, who's behind the camera, is the devil. Yeah. Yeah, he is the devil. He's so funny though. His sense of humor, like he makes those videos. Like some people get mad at him because he's like having it go at me, but they don't understand that him doing that keeps it like fun for me and keeps me talking and keeps me active. Otherwise, you just have your face like buried and you won't be saying anything, just like trying to concentrate and zone out. So he really keeps me active and makes it fun. And I think a lot of people don't understand that the reason you like those videos so much is because of that interaction. Like, if it was just me lying there just going ow every so often, it won't be half as fun.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't find it as much fun anyway. It amuses me too.
Now, moving on to another topic, I wanted to talk about GymShark. Can you tell me what it was like what's it like being an original member of them, and how did you get signed by GymShark?
So I got signed. So when I said I gave up fighting and did that BNBF show as a goal, sorry, dropping stuff. I did a video where I was about, I think it's like 2 weeks out from the show or something. Now, bearing in mind, a lot of people still in England don't like do macros. You know what macros are?
Yep.
As in, yeah. See, so most people still don't know what a macronutrient is. So for me to do a macro diet coming into a show was really, really rare back then. This is like 5-6 years ago-ish, I think, something like that. And so I show this video where I'm having a barbecue 2 weeks out from the show, and I'm having sausages and bread and butter, and people were just like losing their minds. What are you what are you gonna do? You're gonna ruin everything, and so that video got loads of traction. And at the time, GymShark was just starting up. There was just a couple of guys who were just printing the vests, and they actually saw that video and got in contact with me through that video on YouTube. So yeah, that's what started it. So those videos I put up with no real purpose, actually the thing that made my living now, which is crazy.
Now, when GymShark first started, did you think that it would go anywhere? Like, do you think it would get to where it is today? Like being one of like the top like clothing companies?
No, No, couldn't have imagined. Couldn't have imagined because I mean, you were printing stringers for bodybuilders. There was, and that's quite niche as it was. But I thought it was going to do well because it was quite niche. But then this whole, basically, you remember Z's. You remember Z's. Without Z's, there would be none of what we see now because he basically created it the aesthetics era. So, as kind of egotistical as he was, I thought it was quite funny, to be honest. But he created an entire movement which
Yeah.
GymShark jumped onto and saw the possibilities of through social media, and then they kind of went along that with that train and then pushed through with that. And obviously, they were the first guys to start sponsoring YouTubers with their clothing. Like nobody was doing that before.
Yeah.
So they were very, very clever. They were very forward thinking.
Yeah. And it's really exploded since where it started. Now,
Yeah, but
since
they were risk takers too.
yeah,
You know that when you first saw it explode on that, it was a body power that we did, and they launched this tracksuit. They literally put everything they had into that one expo, so it was like make or break.
yeah.
So
Now that
they really gambled.
yeah, and since they're like one of the top, I think that like encourage more people to like start making their own like companies because there's like Hostile, there's Redcon, and there's other stuff like just trying to be like them, like Alpha Elite and more things like that.
Mm.
But what I did
That's the
want to
problem,
ask,
isn't it?
oh, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. The problem is that they're just now replicating rather than creating their own groove. A lot of them.
Yeah,
So some will do okay, but I don't think you're going to see any of those ever get as explosive as Gymshark's been and as successful because they're basically a mirror of
yeah.
that company, and no one's going to go for the secondary when they could go with that original.
Now, what I did want to ask was, since you're like an original member, like one of the first members of Gymshark, do you get like more opportunities than a newer signed person?
No,
No.
not now because it's so big. It's not like it was. So when I was with them, first of all, obviously we were quite UK based. Everything was very inclusive because the athlete teams are smaller, so we used to do everything as a whole unit. But now it's so big and it's spread so far that the company now segregates into countries, regions, and zones. So uh, athletes are utilized in the areas where it's relevant now for whatever it is they're doing and launching, rather than pulling people from England to go to America to go and do a launch. They're using Americans in those areas that they have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's much more sectioned now and organized that way than whereas before it wasn't. We'd all go everywhere as a team, but obviously it was smaller then.
Now, since we're on the topic of clothing, the next thing I wanted to talk about with you is style. Can you tell me how you came up with your style and what did other people think of it when I was first starting?
So at the moment, I'm launching a new company which is called Reckless, and that is completely going to be all my styling. I did a few of my own clothing lines a couple of years ago, and that was just me having fun designing things. But this one's serious. Like I have investors on this new one, and we're going to be doing all like denim and coats and outwear
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, really cool stuff, really high quality as well. But I'm kind of everything I'm inspired by is kind of like adventure orientated and a little outdoorsy, but also quite high street. So you can, the kind of thing that you could wear from a city center bar, get on your motorbike and drive to the woodlands, roll
Yeah.
that thing up and sit on it by a campfire. So I like things that you can wear that will change and grow with you as you wear them. They kind of mold to you. They show their wear. They show the time that they've been with you, but they're of a quality where they're not going to fall to pieces. They just show that aging and that adventure that they've had with you. So I'm very much about. I love a lot of the '90s kind of rock
Yeah.
fashion. So I try and bring elements of that in alongside that kind of outdoorsy feel. So I love like Carhartt and things like that, which take 4 years just to break in. They really become part of you. So yeah, it's all that kind of way. And then I think I'm going to go along the lines of it being something that when you wear it, it stands for something, makes you feel a certain way. So the idea is that it's they're all going to feature little either symbols or just little hidden sayings on them that are just about seizing the day, enjoying yourself, finding who you are, finding your path, and all little things like that. So yeah, I want to create collections that you'll have a suitable something to wear for whatever it is that you're going to go out and do.
Yeah, with like Seth Feroce, he's all about like hard work with his clothing. Like he wants it
Yeah,
to like label like hard work or blue collar. Uh, but I did get some of my style from you. Like for example, like the ripped jeans and like the
yeah,
tight pants, like the tight jeans. I think
yeah.
they're cool. I
Hmm.
like wearing them. I feel good when I wear them. But man, Lex, let me tell you that people have picked on me so much for that. They're like, "Oh, if they're tight and if they have rips, they're girls' jeans." Why do you think people act like this towards other people for wearing clothes
Because
they like?
they're not confident in wearing it, and it's like anything. If people aren't people don't adhere to something or they're not used to seeing it, they'll rebel against it a little bit. Like they'll because it's not the norm. It's not what they would do, and
Yeah,
that's cool. You don't want to be doing what they're doing. There's nothing worse than being average.
yeah,
Like so let them say things. The main thing is when you wear something, if it makes you feel if you feel confident wearing it and you like wearing it, then you wear it. But and when you wear it, you'll project that confidence. But if you put on something that you put on because you think you should be wearing it, or you feel pressured to wear it, you're not going to feel confident in it, and that's going to project out from you, and you're going to look awkward, and then that's going to leave you open to people saying something, a lot of the time. But I'll rock some weird stuff, dude. But I don't care. Like I'll rock it and I wear it with confidence. So most people look at it and go, oh, "That's pretty cool." I wouldn't wear it, but that's cool. And then slowly but surely over time, people do start wearing similar stuff anyway
yeah,
because it just becomes more popular. Because my style is always based off something that's either been a long, long time ago. Because fashion's cyclic anyway. Like we're really just reinventing the wheel over and over, just
yeah,
creating small changes and bringing it through to give it a more modern design. So, like I said, I pull a lot of stuff from the 80s and the 90s. And so I'll go to vintage stores and find things from the 80s or 90s and then wear those a lot. And then I'll design something that is a little bit more user friendly than them and a bit more up to date, but still holds all those characteristics.
yeah,
And that's it. I mean, go find some cool stuff that like in vintage stores, man. Have a root around and find your style. Who gives a shit what the guy wearing black
yeah,
leather shoes and shitty blue jeans says? Like, let him have his
yeah,
101 haircut from whatever. What do you call it? Supercuts,
yeah.
supercuts, white t-shirt, blue jeans. See you later, bro.
Yeah. Like I like being different from other people, like not being normal, like wearing like stuff that not everybody wears, and like doing this YouTube channel. I'm like the only kid that does this, like
Exactly. Yeah.
taking lifting seriously and trying to make a career out of that. I'm the only kid that does that, and I think because that I'm like different than everyone. One of the reasons why like I don't have many friends. I sit alone at lunch, and it's just something that like
Dude,
people don't want
seriously,
to like support. Yeah.
seriously. What you? I mean, do you interact with other people, or do you try and interact with them?
Yep.
Because you're obviously very personable. They're super easy to talk to.
Yeah.
But maybe you're ahead of your time, dude. Maybe that's all it is.
Yeah.
You're just
Maybe.
you're maybe a little bit. You're thinking at an age group higher than what you're having to sit with in class,
Yeah.
and so you'll probably come more into your own when you get into the high. Where are you at now? Because we call things so different. But what age are you now?
I'm 15, so I'm in my
Yeah.
second year of high school.
Dude, that's such an awkward age anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone's still finding themselves. Everyone's still kind of learning, and all the
And
groups are constantly changing.
yeah, and especially now since everyone's like glued to their cell phone and they're right in it.
Doesn't it drive you crazy, dude? Yeah, but like honestly, like 18, 19, you really find who you are there. That's where I did. I changed a lot from university from like 18 to 21. I haven't really changed since after that 21. I definitely found myself there. And prior to that, I was all over the show,
Yeah.
didn't know if I should be in the cool group or should I ignore the geeks or talk to the geeks. I was always kind of down the road, like down the middle.
Yeah.
I was like, no, never a super cool, but I also wasn't a geek, but I could kind of talk to both groups. I got invited to some of the cool parties, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it, dude. Everyone's finding a way. And the fact that you're finding your way on here and you're doing this at your age already, you're like leaps and bounds ahead of the curve
Yeah. And
because this is the way things are going.
yeah. And I find myself hanging out with more adults. Like I don't really hang around with kids. I've been like my whole life I've been basically like friends with adults, and now I'm like talking with
Yeah.
adults, just like
Yeah.
learning more from them. So
That's cool, man. It's just the way that your mind's firing. You're running on a higher level than
yeah,
your age, but don't forget to get outside and get dirty too.
Yeah.
Go in the woods and climb some trees and get stuck. You got to still do that. You got to still have the fun because the childhood years are some of my fondest memories, dude. And I used to just be out in the woods with the dogs and doing dumb stuff that still makes me chuckle today. So don't forget to do that as well, because you need the dumb stories for later in life.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I can't go in the woods or I'll have an allergic reaction and get a rash everywhere.
What, just from trees? Dude, you would not have been good in Lord of the Rings.
No, definitely not. But moving on to another topic, the next thing that I want to talk about is something that relates to me. And I saw you put out one video about it, and that's the eating disorder. Now, I'm not going to get into detail about it because I've talked about it so much on my channel. Like, I put out a whole video documenting it or talking about it. And, like, when I was 13, I weighed 84 pounds. So I was very tiny. I was very skinny. You could see my ribs through the shirt. And food was my enemy.
So you weighed this because of the food problem, not just that wasn't just what you were.
Yeah, like there would be times where I ate like once a day because food was just like I never wanted to eat it. But can you tell me and the people watching your story about your eating disorder and how you overcame it for people that may not have heard it?
Yeah. So my eating disorder was a weird one in the fact that I was too strict with my food. And people don't understand it. Like, and a lot of bodybuilders have this disorder. It's like I used to take a chicken breast wrapped in tinfoil out to the nightclubs with me. So when they searched you to go in the nightclubs, they were searching for weapons, whatever. They used I had a chicken breast in my pocket. Like, no joke. And I would eat because I had it in my head that I had to eat if I was awake. I had to eat every 2 or 3 hours. And because I'd psychosomatically got it into my head that if I didn't do that, you would start losing your gains, things, start negatively affecting you. And the things that helped with me massively to kind of debunk all this was learning the science and the biology behind the body. Now, luckily, I did a biology degree, so I learned about it during my degree and put that to use. But once you learn about how food actually works in the body, most of the things that we feel in connection to food are all just in our mind and something we create subconsciously or consciously every day by creating bad mechanisms and bad relationships with food. It's like I know a lot of people, especially when they're worried about putting on fat and things like that, will eat something that they quote unquote call bad. They will feel like they've instantly put fat on, which is just biologically impossible. So it's completely psychosomatic. And so it's really important that you look into how foods work in the body and understand that you can't feel anything instantly from eating other than full. You're not going to put fat on or anything like that. And if you do feel that way, you have a psychosomatic reaction to eating food, and you need to find a way of removing that mechanism from food. And one thing to know is to look at macronutrient diets, because the big thing people need to know about food is that your body, we give names to food. We call something a Mars bar. Do you have Mars bars?
Yep.
You do? Okay, cool. So like as a Mars bar is like, I don't know, 19 grams of carb, 9 grams of fat, and like 2 protein or something. So that's a macronutrient breakdown of that food. Now that is exactly the same as about 80 to 100 grams of goose fat roast potatoes. Now the roast potatoes seemingly should be better for you, but they're identical to this Mars bar because once the body breaks them down, it's just breaking everything down into proteins, carbs, and fats. It doesn't care what it first started out like. And we wrap things in wrappers and brand them and call them a treat or a sweet. But it's basically comes down to what are they composed of? Carbs, fats, and protein wise, because those 3 macronutrients will dictate your muscle to fat ratio. Now, vitamins, like the micronutrients and everything that we need, they're important too, but they don't really have as direct a correlation to your weight gain and weight loss as the proteins, carbs, and fats.
Yeah.
So once you learn these things and understand that food is just broken down by the body, and remember the body's blind, we see it and we give it a name, but the body's blind to it. It breaks it down. It works biologically regardless of what's on the wrapper. And once you learn that everything is a protein, a carb, or a fat, and that everything is made up from that, then you're free to eat anything that falls into your allowance of protein, carbs, and fats. And that's a very freeing. That's why macronutrient diets are really important. But I think a lot of people are put off with them because they seem complicated. But it's like anything. If you want to solve something, you're going to have to put some work in.
Yeah.
And I think we live in a bit of a day and age where everyone just wants to be spoon-fed information. They don't really want to have to learn or do anything. They just want an answer. And if you have a bad relationship with food, the answer is that you're going to have to work over time to break down that relationship, understand why you feel that way, and then rebuild with good knowledge from there.
Now, how long did your eating disorder last? Like, what age did it start and when did it end?
So I basically over about so I went to university for 3 years. I really started concentrating on my food there for the bodybuilding side of things, like to put muscle on because I wanted to tackle hard at rugby. And I was like, okay, well, we'll eat a bodybuilder's diet. They're big guys, you know. In my first year, I actually just ate a ton of food. I just ate because I thought, well, you need calories. So I just ate calories. And obviously I put fat on doing that. So I was like, right, I don't like having this fat there on me. That's when I started learning about the bodybuilding diet because they were always leaner. I was like, okay. And so it lasted well into, when did I start this? 2000, what are we in now? 2021. It probably went on for like 5 or 6 years, to be honest. Yeah, because I would have cheat days, you remember, like, which is such a stupid thing. Like a cheat day. One, it's the negative connotation anyway. A cheat day. It's already you labeling a day as something,
like
bad or
I heard you
negative.
call it like a reward day.
Yeah, just simple little tricks like that, like having your reward day. And you can still have reward days even when you're doing a macro diet, but all they are is a higher carb day. They're like a refueling day.
Yeah.
You still monitor it and you still balance it, but because you get higher allowances, you're able to fit loads more treats in. So yeah, I think I learned about macros. It definitely wasn't in the final year of uni. It was about 2 years afterwards. So that was 5 years. So 6th year, I think I learned about macros, and that was from Matt Ogus. I remember watching a video of him buying ice cream, Skinny Cow ice cream. What else did he buy? Some other stuff that you just shouldn't have whilst dieting. And he was like, he made a joke like, I've fallen off the wagon or something. And then it was a clickbait thing. And he actually was showing how he switched to this macro diet and how, the body works and everything like that. And then I just literally the next day changed to the macro diet, literally the next day. But it doesn't mean that the problem is a lot of people do macro diets, they just see that you eat ice cream and sweets because people just show those bits. They don't show the fact they're still eating lean chicken, rice, and all these other things around those treats, and that those treats are timed around their workouts, so they're putting those quick acting sugars to use. So there's loads of little tricks and fun things you can do to even remove that guilt from having something and starting to train yourself to not feel guilty and see food as fuel rather than as a negative.
Now, you keep bringing up Matt Ogus, and I'm just going to tell you a short little story real quick.
Yeah.
I posted on my Instagram like a little like guessing game. I'm like, who am I interviewing next? It's one of the originals of GymShark, and I wanted to see if anyone would guess you. But there was like 10 people who guessed Matt Ogus, and like Chris Bumstead.
Yeah, Chris Bumstead.
I know. I was like, I don't think he's original.
Like 3 years. Yeah, that's it. Honestly, this is because people like don't understand where GymShark was before. They've only seen them since they got big, and they think that's where they started. A lot of them have missed that entire like origin story. They don't even know it was there. But yeah, no, the originals. The reason is that is because when GymShark brought me on, I was like a fledgling on YouTube and Instagram. I really wasn't like that big at all. Like I was just a popular little UK following. It was only about into the 2nd or 3rd year I started to really grow, and then have a bigger following. So yeah, at that time they managed to get Matt Ogus and Yuki Lovato, and that was when people really started hearing about GymShark through those guys, because at the time they were like probably the only 2 guys really pumping out fun footage about bodybuilding training and diet. So they had a huge following, especially in England, and GymShark brought them over to the Body Power Expo in Birmingham. And so the reason that most people know Matt and Chris is because they were the first YouTubers they were able to meet in the UK, because nobody was bringing people over from America. So it was the only time they got to meet them. So people came from all over to just go to the expo to see them, which was really cool. Really cool.
I feel like
and then I came.
I feel like you and Max Tuning really carved the path for like this whole fitness YouTube industry, because a lot of people nowadays like take little parts from your videos and try and like just take little things that you do and incorporate them into your videos. Like, have you ever realized that people take some stuff from you and put it in their videos, and like what's that like?
Yeah, you do see it, and as long as it's like done, not, I mean, because there are certain things that are very unique to certain people with their styles, and that is obviously, if people watch and really enjoy things, that's going to influence the way they want to film something or edit something or make something look a certain way, and that's really cool. As long as it's not like a direct copy, I think it's quite flattering. It's when people just direct copy is just lazy, you know. But if they take it and make it their own, put their own little twists on things, I think that's the whole point. Is you don't set out with the goal to inspire people or be an influencer. I just put stuff out into the ethos and just hope it helps people along the way. And if it does, that's cool. And I think some days I say something that I have in my head all the time, and sometimes it just catches people at the right time, at the right moment to really just hit them hard, and it can really help them change the way that they're thinking. And some people, it even changes the way that they look at life. Like, it really does go that deep. I've had people at some of the meets come up and say, like, this one video did change my life. And to me, the video was just a normal video, but to them, it was a moment in their time, a moment in life that it just caught them and really clicked and made them change something big in their world or think about something differently that really affected their life. So that's really cool, you know. And that's why I always say, no matter how dumb the thing you're thinking seems to you, share it, because I guarantee there's thousands of other people thinking the same thing, feeling the same way, and feeling dumb. And just knowing that somebody thinks the same thing as you think will automatically alleviate that worry, because you were, oh, it's not just me, you know. And that is huge. It's bigger than most people know.
Yeah. Now, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the mindset, like having the right mindset. And I think that many people that know who you are and why they follow you is because you're all about having the right mindset to stay on track and just keep moving forward, stay positive. Are there ever any times where you lose this mindset, and like what do you do to get back on track?
Yeah, dude. Like about 2 weeks ago, I had a really, really down point. So I'd started running here to get outside, because obviously we're basically banned from going into town and stuff. We have to be in our houses unless we're going out for either shopping or an emergency or a doctor's appointment or something. So I started running, and I live out in the countryside. And then about 2 weeks ago, it started really raining here, and it didn't stop for like a week. And the track that I run on just turned to absolute mulch, like just slurry. It was like pig slop. It was absolutely unrunnable. So for like 8 days, 9 days straight, I couldn't leave the house, and I just went off a cliff, dude. I absolutely crashed. I completely bummed out. I took a week off social media because everything just seemed to be on top of me, and it was because I couldn't get outside. I'm trapped in the four walls. You know, I'm on my own, uh, and yeah, it really kicked my ass. But the thing is I'm pretty good at being aware of when I'm being and feeling down, which I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people get in a funk, and it's quite subtle, and they don't realize that they're in it for such a long time that it just becomes almost their way, and then they really struggle to pull out. Whereas when I'm not able to kick my own ass into gear, I really notice it. So it takes me about 3 days. Then usually I start pulling myself right again. But sometimes, you know, you got to allow yourself just to uh, sometimes just to kick back and detach. It
Yeah.
can really help. You've got to detach in the right way. So don't detach and think about bad things, worry about things, sit and write down everything that can go bad. Like, don't do that. Go and do something you enjoy. Go just spend 2 days watching your favorite movies or something, you know? Uh, if you're gonna bum out, do it properly, but do it nicely.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when your followers like watch your videos and they like get motivated to go out and just like do something active, knowing that your followers do that, is that what drives you to keep like moving forward and putting out content for these people so that they can keep going and not just crash?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it helps me to have to put out content, helps me get out, which is really nice. So it's kind of circular. So for everybody that is always saying, thanks for this, it's really helped. This video has done this and that. It's more as well me like thank you to you guys for watching and messaging me and supporting me, because that positivity comes back to me and encourages me to film more, which makes me get out more. So it really is a feedback loop. So when you support your creators, you really, that bit of support you show by watching or sending a message, it's literally helping keep that creator going and keep them inspired and keep them creating what it is that you love. So yeah, make sure you do show them love, because I know at the moment, like YouTube and Instagram, it's becoming a pay to play game, which is very sad. And we're always seeing is just nonsense they're throwing up on homepages from like Saturday Night Live, or a monkey throwing poo at a giraffe or something. We're not seeing what we subscribe to anymore. So when people do go out their way to make sure they're watching your videos and supporting you and leaving comments, it's huge. It's bigger than you know. Those little things that you do are big and really help. So yeah, so thank you to everybody that watches you and watches me.
Yeah. Do you probably get messaged a ton? Like, do you like get like a bunch of messages on like Instagram and stuff like that, like saying like
Yeah, I
you
get
changed my
hundreds a
life
day,
and
dude.
things like that?
I do get some that are really heartfelt, yeah. And I make an effort every day to sit down and take about an hour to just go through messages on Instagram. And people do get very personal, yeah. They'll hit me up when they've got real problems. And like I had a guy the other day, I had two guys the other day in really bad like relationship situations. I think one was like in a really committed relationship, but was out of love with the person, but didn't know how, because they didn't want to hurt them, but they knew they had going to have to leave after this lockdown. And so I was helping kind of discuss what they were doing there. Another guy lost his job and was feeling really down, couldn't get into his training, felt like his world was imploding, was having suicidal thoughts. So you get some really serious people, like not people, some serious situations that people reach out to you from. And so they do hold you in high regard, and there is a responsibility with that. But I really, I will take time out. I will voice message people back and help as best as I can. But I can only help with what I know. I'm not a psychologist, but I do my best to kind of show them that there's light at the end of any tunnel.
Yeah. Like, I would say like 3 weeks ago, I would put out something on Instagram or on YouTube. It would get like 1 or 2 comments on it. And ever since like I started doing these interviews with like these fitness people like Fuath and you, I've been getting so many more comments. I've been getting like a lot of messages, like requests from Instagram. I think I've gotten like 10 or 15 a day. So, and then I like respond to them. So it's definitely cool seeing like them like reaching out to me saying like, you're a really cool kid. You relate a lot to me. Just keep up the great work. And I think that's really something cool.
Yeah, I mean, you should be proud of that, because you're creating something that people are seeing has worth and are literally taking time out of their day to just go, you know what, you're doing well, keep it up, and that in this, especially in a world where a lot of people think social media is negative, it really does show it's not. It can be a really positive place, more so if you're putting out something that's positive, which obviously you're doing. So yeah, make sure you thank those people, because they're the ones that will stick around and push your product essentially, really, and they're the ones that support you. So when they reach out, just give them a little social high five back.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Like I've been getting a lot of positive messages, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep putting out stuff for these people because they like it, so I'm gonna keep giving it to them. But since we're on the topic
pat on the back.
Since we're on the topic of social media and we talked about it earlier on, you're like one of the fewer people that started YouTube almost 10 years ago. Can you tell me what it was like making videos back then?
Yeah, dude, I was thinking about it the other day. So we used to have to, the first good camera I got was an actual camcorder. Like, now everything's a camera. I've still got it upstairs. I keep all my old cameras and I've got them in a line upstairs in my office on a shelf. But yeah, so I think the first thing I filmed on though was literally my phone. I just started on my phone.
Yeah.
And then from there, just slowly bought a little bit by little bit under advice of other YouTubers as I met them and stuff like that. And you could as well, back then, there was way less cinematic content. People would literally just film chatting to the camera and upload it. Title screens were about as technical as it got, really. So it's now, obviously now people are making like mini movies, which is great. But there is a big pressure that comes with that. And also, I think I think that puts a lot of people off because they're like, well, how the hell am I going to compete with that? There is still 100% a place to just be able to sit and talk to a camera. And like I said, put those dumb things you think every day out into the camera and let other people hear them, because I guarantee you're helping somebody by saying those things. And also, if you have a solution to how you've helped yourself through certain things, let people know, because we all think the problem is we all think we're super unique and all our problems are really unique and no one else has them and no one knows us. And it's classic teenager thing of nobody knows the troubles I've seen. But dude, hundreds of thousands, millions of people have seen the troubles. So those little things that you can share, when you find it, whether it's good, whether it's bad, just film it and put it up there. And you're not going to get hundreds of thousands of views off your first go. That's not the goal. The goal is to be consistently committed to putting out good information. And if you do, it'll get traction. And, the more you can improve and look into editing, and if you enjoy the process of editing and things like that, then that's great. If you hate it, then maybe it's not the thing you should be doing. Maybe you're doing it because you think you should rather than because you enjoy it. The main thing about anything you do is you should be enjoying it.
Yeah, like you brought up not caring about how many views you get out or how many views you get when you first start. Just put the video out. We used to mostly be like a comic book YouTube channel, like superheroes,
Really?
stuff like that. Yeah, and we do like a fitness video here and there, and our superhero videos would get anywhere from 100 to 200 views, and my fitness videos would get 50 views. But now that I've done these podcasts and stuff, it's kind of switched. So we're moving on the gears of being a fitness channel, and our comic and our comics will get what's that?
You can mix it though. You can mix it. But there's the wonders of podcasts, Yep. So okay, let's mix it. The new Batman is coming out. Yeah. How good does it look? Now, I think he's going to be really good. Oh, hang on. I'm talking about the Batman, not Batfleck.
Yep.
So we're talking...
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson as Batman. I think he's going to be amazing. So here's a little trick, right? First thing we think Robert Pattinson is Twilight, isn't it?
Yep.
Worst films in history. Worse than that Ang Lee's Hulk. Those things. Dreadful. Terrible everything. No acting. Horrible storyline. That girl can't smile. She doesn't smile once the entire film. There's three of them. She's like the Ron Weasley of the werewolfy vampire world. Yeah. She just does. You ever notice that Ron Weasley just does this for 6 films? That's it. And he got paid. That dude is just, he should be thank you, Lord. Anyway, so, but if you think all you think is Pattinson and Twilight, here's the trick. Go and watch all of Pattinson's latest films from the last 5 years, because he's done some really dark stuff and some really kind of niche films. And there's one called The Lighthouse. Yep. And it's a pretty dark film, man, about psychosis and going mad and So once you watch him, William Dafoe. Yeah, legend. So once you watched him through those movies, you'll detach yourself from his Twilight years, and then you can start seeing how he's going to be so good as this young Batman, because he loves awkward moments in films. He sits in those, where you think it should cut away and it just doesn't for a good 30 seconds. Now, if you take that and put it into the violent kind of side of Batman, and keep those eerie scenes, I think he's going to sit in them and just drive them through the screen at you. I think it's going to be so good.
And what do you think of Colin Farrell as the Penguin?
Yeah, dude, I love Colin Farrell. I think he's so underrated. I think the last time we saw him in The Gentleman, we saw glimpses of how great he is again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he'll be good.
I couldn't even recognize that was Colin Farrell as Penguin. He had it was just so well covered up as Penguin.
Yeah, it's going to be very dark, and that's what Batman needs to be. It needs to be really dark, and I think that we're going to get that. To put it bluntly, we needed the more of that real violence from Batman, that kind of anger that he has. Yeah. And when there's that fight scene when he says what you're supposed to be, and then just takes that guy apart, puts him on the floor, and then hits him another 3 times on the floor, and then says I'm vengeance. I was just yes, goosebumps, and just I'm so looking forward to it. So yeah, you should discuss this too, dude, rather than just fitness, because yeah. Oh, I just started a podcast as well.
Yeah,
I
so
forgot to say that. And so we'll cover fitness in like 90 minutes. We'll cover 30 to 40 minutes of fitness. And the rest of it is like dumb stuff we've done in life, plus what's happened that week, plus stupid things in the new. Like we cover anything and everything. And we get people to send in questions and stuff like that, and then cover what they want to hear. And some of them will be like, "Oh, I've struggled to get myself back on track with my food during this time. You know, what can I do?" And other ones will be like, "Dude, what do you think could win between a bear and a tiger in a marsh?" That's my go to bed alarm. Yeah, so that's always a really good thing to do, is to reach out to people and say, "Listen, let's fire us some questions." You know, that's always a good way to keep those things alive.
yeah, it's definitely a good out. Like having this and just getting away from what's going on everywhere. Like James Holling said, he has like the video games that he does. Like if you're having a bad day, just come down, read a comic book, think about superheroes, just something different.
Yeah, just detach, man. Just yeah,
Yeah.
take just. It's almost a little bit like the same theory behind a meditation. Is you're just detaching from all the worries and the stress going on around you. So whatever it is that does that, video games, reading,
Yeah.
going for a run, you know, whatever puts you back in that good, productive, happy mood, it's all good. Do it. Make sure you do it frequently.
Now I heard your go to bed alarm, but I have 3 questions left.
Oh, I'm good, dude. I'm good. I've given up my trying to sleep pattern this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, since we're talking about like detaching from what's going on, the thing I found interesting that you do in your free time is like doing adventures and traveling and going on long motorcycle rides. Can you tell me about this, like all about this adventure, and like what are some of your favorite places that you've been to?
Yeah, the motorbikes are just they're such a release, because when you ride a bike, it's not like driving a car. You're really still in the environment. Like you feel the heat, the wind, the air. You smell everything that's around you. And one of the best trips I did was down. I rode from England all the way down to Barcelona. It was about what I said, like 1,800 miles or something. Yeah, we did that over. We did that over about. Well, we did it 3 days down, which was not long enough. We learned it was rough. Like we did too many miles. We learned quite quickly we should have done less miles per day. But I actually rode all the way through down to the Pyrenees, which are these huge mountains that you ride through as you break over from France into Spain, and that was pretty amazing. That was, but also just as good as I live right next to Wales, which is a whole nother. Is it another country? Yes, it is another country attached to England. But you can. There's no like border control or anything. You just flip in and out because it's Great Britain, and so I can be in the Welsh mountains in like 30 minutes from where I am here. And some of those,
Wow.
like if it's a sunny day, dude, and you go up on, because they're like a national park and they're all protected. So it's just Greenland all the way through, and there's huge mountainous valleys. And when you get to the top of those valleys and look, and there's points where it just opens up in front of you, it could rival anything in the world. So I've got adventure right on my doorstep, but also it's fun to go to those places where you really have to plan it and take that time away. And I often, I'll go with friends and we'll do it together, and we all have comms as well on the helmets, so we can talk the entire time.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, dude, it's like having, when you're having a chat with your best friends around a table of food or whatever, but it's just like being like that, but on motorbikes, and it's so good. And so we're intending to do ride around England this year, because we can't really travel abroad easily. We're going to ride around England, do Scotland. There's a lot of really cool rides, but we're going to do it with just camping gear, and we're just going to cook meat by fires and
Yeah, that'll be
chill out
fun.
and do. Yeah, I think it'd be really good, and it's a good bonding experience as well for guys when you just go out and do that. I find that when you go on trips, and especially like adventure stuff, that's not like going somewhere that's just a hotel with a pool or whatever. When you're going somewhere where I was trying to describe this the other day, when you try and describe that you were sleeping on the floor of somewhere or other, people are like, oh, it sounds terrible. Like, yeah, but you're not. You're thinking of sleeping on the floor like in your house or in a house you don't know. When you put that environment as being, you're sleeping on the floor underneath some beautiful stars around, surrounded by trees and nature, it's different altogether. But that can really help reset you. And I'm a big believer in grounding yourself to the earth as well. I think we're so disconnected from the earth that
Yeah.
just going and putting your feet in the grass outside or just sitting outside and getting some air and sun, just 15 minutes a day will make you feel can we swear?
Yeah,
A
go ahead.
buttload better than if you sit inside the same four walls every day, especially during all these pandemics. Fresh air, grounding yourself, it will really help. So doing those adventures helps really open you up, and when you go with other people, you tend to open up more to those people as well, because you're in an environment where you're kind of all connected to one another and connected to the earth all at the same time. And you tend to open up a bit more, and you can often alleviate a lot of your stress and anxiety by talking it through with those people, which you don't get if you go to a holiday camp or something else where the focus is off you and on the resort. So that's why I love that adventure side of it way more. And plus, you just get to discover real hidden little gems, as you just point yourself in a direction and off you go. It's a little quite freeing.
Now, something that I think you'll find interesting is my grandfather has this really old Harley. It hasn't been used since the 90s, and he's going to be giving it to me, and I'm going to take the whole thing apart, and I'm going to rebuild it, and then it's going to be like our family like bike.
With your dad?
Yeah, and my brother.
Dude, that is sick. That is a really, really cool thing. Dude, when you start tinkering with the bikes and you get the smell of oil and grease on you, and you've just been in there all day, and there's nothing better. Yeah. Especially when you fix something and then it works for the first time after fixing it, and you've done it with your own hands. So satisfying. Yeah, dude, that is amazing. To start that now, get that into your blood now, it is great. I wish I'd started earlier. I wish. So yeah, that's amazing.
The only difficult thing
knucklehead?
is... What's that?
Is it a knucklehead? The classic Harley style.
It's a 70s Sportster.
Oh, okay, nice. Quite a light thing then. You should be able to have a bit of a toot on it.
Yeah, I want to have like the back tire be like big and fat so it can.
Yeah. You're gonna be chopping the frame up a bit then to fit that bad boy on.
Yeah. But yeah, like you definitely have the whole motorcycle like gang haircut going on with the big beard. So.
I know. And this wasn't anything to do with motorbikes. I don't even know how this started, to be honest. I really don't. I've tried growing my hair 3 times. This is the longest I've ever managed to go.
Yeah.
So this time I'm going, and I only reason I kept it is because I grew the party mullet, which is what I call it. I call it the party mullet because before it was just long on top, and so I grew the Mohican down the back and then grew that out, thinking then I'll grow the sides in afterwards. But people love the sides being shaved, and I do too. But I thought like, oh, maybe it's a bit aggressive. People are like, no, I love it. And obviously I don't dress too aggressively either. So like nanas will still come up and talk to me in the street. So I'm cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy as long as they're good to do that.
There were times where I went to my barber and I was like, I want this haircut. And it was a picture of you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. If you're going to start working on the bikes.
Yeah.
It'll suit you. It'll suit you more. I'll have to send you out something when we get the clothing line going. Dude, I've got some sick flannels coming, and they're going to be like a distressed flannel shirts, like overshirts.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll send you one out.
Oh, nice. Thanks. But the reason why I brought up the whole hair thing, like I said, I've been watching you for like 5 years now, and I would watch your videos like every time one came out. Like there'd be times where I'm like, look, all right, Lex is today. Let's watch it. And then you put out this one video, and I saw the title, and I was like, no. And I was like, I'm shaving it all off. And I was like, no. So I clicked on it. You shaved your beard off, and I was like, no.
Dude, people got mad. People genuinely got mad that I'd done it. Yeah, that was a fun one. That got a few million views, I think.
I know.
Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, people got so... Do you know what people were mainly mad about? Is that I look like everybody else again.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. They were like, yeah, you look nice, but you just look like every other fitness guy now. And that was what irked them. They liked the fact that, it was a little bit... I think the thing with me is I look a certain way, but then I speak the way I speak. And people don't expect it. Yeah. So I think the contrast of that is what people kind of like.
Like right now with your long hair and the big beard, you're not like the typical GymShark guy.
No, and I think that was what people liked.
Yeah.
And then I quickly, personally as well, I wanted it back.
Yeah,
I can't remember why I shaved it. Do you know, that's a really good thing, actually. You know the reason I shaved it off?
What's up?
Because I tried to conform. I tried to conform to what I thought YouTube and the fitness industry wanted. And yeah, very bad mistake, because it wasn't me, and people could see that I wasn't me in the videos because it came across in the way I was putting out content and the way I was acting as well. And then when I grew the beard back, started growing the hair, all I got loads of people messaging going, "Lex is back."
Yep.
So, and that stems back to what we first talked about is, don't feel that pressure. If you feel good a certain way, then, you stick in that vein and, and find what it is that you like to do and stick with it. Sod what other people, never do what you think other people want you to do. That's the worst thing you can do, because then you lose yourself.
Yeah. When you shaved your beard and I saw it come back, all I could picture was the song that used to play at the end of your video. That's one of my favorite songs now. It's Miles Malone, "This Is Our Time."
Oh yeah, that's a good song, dude. Do you know they started copyrighting everything and ruining everybody's intros and outros?
Yeah.
They've got all these bloody websites now that just kind of will flag any tune. You have to keep it, even if you keep it short. I know, because a lot of people, I had that, and I had White Comic as well, which were just an unknown band, and I had their stuff up. But yeah,
Well,
yeah, that's cool, man.
there's a video you put out that I was just watching today because we were just sitting down here waiting for you to come on, and at the end of the video you played Bon Jovi, and I was like, "How'd you get away with that?"
Yeah, you see, you can get sneakily, you can get away if you put it for like less than 10 seconds or about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Because I know everyone thinks you can play things for 30 seconds. You definitely can't.
Yeah.
But if you do like 10 to 15, you sometimes get away with it, especially if it's an older track where they're not so up on kind of like all the online recognition software. Yeah, so just lucky.
Yeah.
It will eventually get caught, I'm sure.
There's been people that watch along like a Marvel movie. Like they'll be watching Avengers and they'll put it on screen for like 2 minutes, and they've been taken down and they've been like banned for a short amount of time. But
yeah, you can't do anything like that with footage. Yeah.
So
do you know what's funny is I got flagged on my channel for using footage that was in someone else's video, and someone had taken my footage from my video and put it in theirs, and their copyright team had said that what they had in their video of my video was copyright of what I put out, and mine was the original video. So I have to send a message back going, "Dude, it's me in the video, and this is my channel. You took the video," but they just automatically were just whipping. They just ban until you fight. It's so annoying.
yeah.
That was the most ridiculous one I've had.
The next thing I want to know before my last question is, what's next for your channel as gyms start to open? What do you have planned for everyone? Do you have like new stuff coming, and are you excited for it?
Yeah, dude. So I'm back out to Ireland straight away. So back out to Ireland, we're going to do a load of Street Fight videos with Hazard. We're going to do some stuff about fighting multiple opponents, maybe a little bit of weapon work and stuff like that, because people really do enjoy those. Especially, I think they just like seeing me get beat up, to be honest. But I have fun doing it, so I'll keep doing them. And then I want to do some. I want to do some stuff where people can learn to do bag work. I think a lot more people have bought boxing bags or are looking into it, especially through the lockdowns, and it's a great tool for people to have. So there's going to be some bag work stuff that goes on there, and some body weight bag work kind of home workout videos. I'm going to keep those in the loop, because I know a lot of people are still going to keep training at home because maybe they're not too confident at going into the gym yet, and they're getting results from home, and they might, they're going to stay there. Plus, the cost of going to the gyms and things like that is it's a luxury some people aren't going to be able to bring back straight away, because so many people have suffered financially. So I think I'm going to cover that kind of avenue. But also, there's going to be some really cool stuff where I'm going out to Portugal to go and do some extreme stuff like cliff jumping and riding motorbikes through the mountains. I'm supposed to be going out there with an ex-professional champion boxer as well. So hopefully we'll get some Street Fight videos with him. But there's also going to be some like plunge pooling and other mad stuff going on. And I'm supposed to also be filming so you'll like this. So in The Dark Knight, the way Christian Bale fights, he's got a very specific way how he moves and fights, hasn't he? Okay, so the guys that developed that fight system for Dark Knight, I'm going to go out there, learn that system, and then do an underground Batman-style fight in an underground train station. So that will be pretty sick. Yeah. So that was supposed to happen last year, but obviously it got all cancelled because of COVID, because Portugal got hit really bad. as well.
Yeah.
So they got locked down even harder than we did. So hopefully we'll be able to rearrange that and sort that out again.
Yeah, now I'm
So
excited to
that'll be
see
really
that.
cool. Yeah, dude, I'm excited to do it as well. Although for the first bit of it, I'm going to dress up in the worst Batman thing you've ever seen. You remember that grey old one? Where it was like kapow, bang. It was the old TVs. I'm going to wear that one to start
As
with.
long
just
as
to
it's
look
not the
ridiculous.
Batman suit with the nipples.
I'm going to find the daftest one just to open the sequence, but then I'll try and find a cool one for doing the actual scene in. But yeah, there's that. And then gym wise, I am. Well, currently I've been okay. Like I've actually been concentrating on getting a bit leaner whilst I've been at home. Luckily I've got. I've just signed up with RDX, which is obviously the fight company. So they've kitted me out with a load of really cool kit, which you saw me throwing watermelons at my head. That was, part of the kit was that headgear. So I also have the standing punch bag now, and I do have pads and stuff for when we can go again for when people come around. But so because I've been able to do bag work inside and really easy, alongside having some dumbbells, I've been able to kind of dial my diet in and actually lean out a little bit. So I'm going to really try when the gyms get back open to get back to a really, really lean physique, like kind of get that shredded with the life look again. And I'm going to cover that journey, which I did try and start, but then lockdown came and just kind of wrecked it. Just trashed everything. So I will restart that once the gyms reopen again. And so we'll be going back to that classic kind of thing of morning routines, diets, changes, how to time your food, plus some training routines that you can implement along the way. Kind of hopefully do the journey with me a little bit.
All right, Lex. This last question is something that I ask all my guests on the show. This question is for people like me who aren't the most popular, people like me who sit alone at lunch. Lex, people want to hear the question answered from you. And this question is, what advice do you have for people in life that want to go out and do great things, but are stuck and aren't sure what to do right now?
That's a big question, dude. Well, one thing I would like to say is if you're listening to this and you see kids sat on their own at the lunch table, go and sit and say hello to those kids. Just go and sit with them. You might make a new friend, or you just might make somebody else's day that little bit brighter. Either way, you're not doing anything negative by going and sitting somebody who's sitting on their own. So that's one thing I'd say if you do see that. But for the kid who's sat on his own, I would say that, don't worry too much about it. We all go through those points in life. Like I've been there a little bit, where you were a bit outcast. Maybe you changed schools. Maybe you did something dumb that made you fall out with the cool kid, and now everyone's kind of rebelling against you. I think what you need to do is whatever it is you enjoy, look at what's going on around you that involves what you enjoy, whether that be like comic books, whether it's gaming, whether it's sports. Try and find something like a club or a team or anything like that you can join that's going to help you meet new people, help you socialize, maybe bring you out your shell a little bit because you're going to an environment that you feel a little bit confident that you have some knowledge in. And just understand, we're all a bit different, and especially through younger years, we all go through points of finding ourselves, and there's ups and there's downs. And especially when you're younger, smaller problems can seem huge at the time. And it's just because they're a new experience for you, which is why they seem so big. But you'll then encounter through life similar problems all the way through, and you learn to deal with them, and you learn to get around them and move forward and move through them. And it is a lot of the life lessons. But also, if you're feeling really alone and you are really neglected, speak to somebody, reach out, speak to a teacher, speak to your parents, speak to your siblings, speak to someone. Don't just sit there on your own and stay on your own and think that it's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the environment you're in. And there's always ways of changing that environment. So that would be the biggest thing I'd say.
Well, Lex, I can't say thank you enough for doing this interview. I've been watching you for so long, and I really can't believe that this actually happened. Like, I remember messaging you on Twitter, for the longest time, asking you for an interview.
The worst place to message me.
Yeah. And you would respond once every couple months, and I'd be like, "Oh yes, we're finally gonna do it." Now it finally happened, and I just want to say thank you for doing this, Lex. I hope you had fun.
No, you're welcome, dude. Thanks for persevering, for realizing that I was slow at getting back to Twitter messages. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I was really good, man. Good luck with it all. I'm glad it's doing well. And don't worry about the kids that don't understand it. In a few years, they'll be asking you how you did it. Guarantee it. Guarantee it.
Well, Lex, Thanks again. Thanks everyone for watching. With all that being said, boom, baby, and we'll catch you in the next
Ooh,
one.
baby.
There you have it, everyone. Another episode of 5 Questions with the Beast in the books. Today we sat down with Lex Griffin, also known as Lex Fitness, here on YouTube. He has over 1 million followers. You got to hear his story. I had a great time with this. I want to thank everyone that made this interview possible. Thank you to Fuad, Abiad, and Seth Barosi. This is truly crazy, and I can't believe this is happening. And Lex, thank you so much for doing this interview. It means the world to me. Before you all leave, I have some important news. But before that, just hit the subscribe, hit the like, and hit the notification bell. Because next week on 5 Questions with the Beast, I'm sitting down with the mutant Nick Walker. And the week after that, I'm sitting down with everyone's favorite 2-time Olympia winning champion. Catch you in the next episode of 5 Questions with the Beast. You'll find out who it is after Nick Walker's interview.